So now let's look at finding the first derivative from first principles. So now, if you look at this one, we are saying you must factorize by h so that it cancel the one that is in the formula, like we did with linear. Remember, with linear we get h as it is and then we cancel, but with quadratic we have to factorize by that h so that it cancel the one in the formula. So now the procedure is the same. We know that the formula is given by f prime of x equal the limit as h goes to 0 of fx plus h minus fx over h. So remember, the first thing that we find is the f of x plus h. That's number one. So now number one, f of x plus h. What will be your f of x plus h? So now you check. We said where we see x, there's our x, there's our x. We will substitute x plus h. So here we will have 5 minus 5 into, because there is our x, we put x plus h. But don't make mistake, it's squared. So now, from those who have time dealing with x plus h squared, they will know that x plus h squared is the same as x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So that's what you get after foiling that bracket of x plus h. So now by simplifying, we have 5 minus 5x squared by distributive property, and then negative 5 times 2, that's negative 10xh, negative 5 times h squared, that's negative 5h squared. So now you need to highlight that this is your f of x plus h. So now the second thing, remember, remember the second part. The second part is to find your numerator as a whole. That is our number 2. So we will find f of x plus h minus f of x. So now you need to ask yourself questions. What will happen along the way as I solve this thing? What will happen? So I know what will happen is I must factorize by h. So now, what is your f of x plus h? There it is. So I have 5 minus 5x squared minus 10xh minus 5h squared. And then the minus from the formula. And don't forget the brackets. Very, very important. Once you put, once you put this minus, you must have brackets. So now, what is your f of x? It's in the formula, the given part. So that is your 5 minus 5x squared. And now you know that you have to remove the brackets before you can simplify. So now let's go ahead and remove the brackets. So we have 5 minus 5x squared minus 10xh minus 5h squared, and then minus, because it's negative, we have 1 there, so negative 1 times 5, that's negative 5. So negative 1 times negative 5, that's positive 5x squared. And now in your head, you must remember that things must cancel. We must have a party of terms that will be cancelling. So now 5 will cancel the 5, and then x squared, 5x squared will cancel the 5x squared. So now check, what are we left with? We're left with negative 10xh minus 5h squared. So now if you go back there, they said we must factorize by what? By h. So now let's go ahead and do that. So if you know what will happen in the problem solving, you'll never get these things wrong, because you will know if you don't get to a part whereby you have to factorize, then you made a mistake. So now we said factorize by h. So if you take h out, so negative 10xh divided by h, then you'll be left with negative 10x, and then negative 5h squared divided by h, you'll be left with negative 5h. So now this is the part where we end. How do we know that that's a part we end? Because remember, the last part is to factorize by h so that it cancel. So we know that this h, this one, and this one, they will cancel. So now let's go to the formula. Don't ever forget to write the limit as h goes to 0. That part is important. So now I want us to figure what, this is the formula. So what is f of x plus h minus fx? We have that part because we found it in step 2. So we know that the numerator from the formula, it's h into negative 10x minus 5h. So now from the formula, we have over h. So that means we must also have over h. So now this is clear so that it cancel the one in the formula. So the h we have factorized by will cancel the one that's in the formula. So we'll be left with limit as h goes to 0 of negative 10x minus 5h. So now we know h goes to 0. So that means where we see h, we must put 0. So now we have the negative 10x. Do we have h? No, write it as it is. So it's negative 10x minus 5. Do we have h here? Yes. But what is h? It goes to 0. So we have into 0. So this part here will give us 0. So negative 10x minus 0, that's negative 10x. So that's your first derivative from first principles. Remember, straight line, we must be left with h and then divide by it. We will get a constant. And then quadratic, you have to factorize by h in one of the steps. And then after factorizing by h, you must bear in mind that that h that we factorize by will cancel the one that is in the formula. And then you must also remember here, if you don't have h, you write the number or the term as it is. Like negative 10x, we had no h here, so we wrote it as it is. So 5h, since we know h goes to 0, that's why we put 0 for h. And when you substitute your 0, don't write the limit again because we know h is 0. So don't write it after substituting. So now, quick summary. Linear, we are left with h. And then what do you do with that h? You factorize by it. And then after factorizing by it, we know that it must cancel the one in the formula. Second one, the quadratic, we know that we must factorize by h. With the first one, linear, we are left with h, or a constant multiplied by h, but that h will cancel the one in the formula. Then quadratic, we have to factorize by h, and then after factorizing by h, that h we factorize by will cancel the one that is in the formula. And then the third one will be the rational function like hyperbola. So I'm going to show you the trick, also the idea